go ahead and get started. This is, the town meeting is a place where you come to ask questions of people in leadership roles, to talk among yourselves, to exchange ideas. It's very free form. And the only rule that I'm going to have is I'm going to keep it down to about comments and questions, down to about 2 or 3 minutes for the person asking the question, and about 2 or 3 minutes for the person replying. So we're going to shoot for being concise here. So without any further ceremony, let's get started. We have in the audience, we have Lori Garber, and we have Charlie Walker, and Glenn Wilson's here. Jeff Bliss in the back, one of the board members. And so feel free to ask them anything that's a concern. Yes? Okay.
3 minutes ago, one of our attendees asked me a question which I didn't know the answer to. He wanted to know whether NSS ever had any kind of organized effort to solicit testamentary donations.
Solicit what kind of donation?
Testamentary for wills. Requests. You know, how does that work?
Yeah, I can speak to that. We have not made a huge outreach formalized effort in that. It's something we're looking into. Our person who's handling sort of membership and fundraising right now, Judy Gilbert-Levy, is looking into it to try and get some information out to our members about how they could organize that. We were very fortunate that a member who died 2 years ago left the society a substantial sum of money. It's close to $200,000, I think. Mr. Albert Schaefer, and we have a plaque in our conference room for him, and that sort of inspired us. We don't believe that a large portion of our membership can, contribute that much, but long-term financial planning is something we are looking into, and you'll probably see more on it in the magazine or in the mail in the next maybe 2 months.
Let me, Lloyd, find my, where do you want me? I think we do need to move in that direction. It's something that we ought to provide people the opportunity to do, committing to the society long term, and after their departure. However, let me say that, of course, if Alcor has their way, people are going to be putting it in trust for themselves. But a part of it, even a part of it in that circumstance, I think definitely it should be made clear to people that there is that opportunity. I don't think a lot of people understand that. I mean, even when I made my will out, I had to sit for a few hours and think about exactly who and when and where, and that only came to me after a couple of hours. So even I didn't have it really in front of me up here. I don't think most people do. We do need to be more visible about that, show them how it can be done, and I'm not a lawyer, but it ain't that hard.
Any other comments or questions about this one? Any other new questions?
I say it would probably be an idea to have a work session together, a brainstorming session as to what can the National Space Society do? What should be the projects that NSS should approach, and start going in on, and then keep working away at this list. And it's probably going to be new things added to the list, and we just keep going.
I think maybe one of the things you could talk about to sort of address that is what your prioritization process is when you come up with ideas the board develops or the executive committee comes up with the things to do. I think that might be a good start on that.
Okay, well, one of the things that has been happening over the years, there have been a number of brainstorming sessions, I think more in line with what you're talking about, and actually Lloyd has led some of those here at CSDC, and Terry Savage from Oasis has come to Washington to hold some of those brainstorming sessions too. Projects that came out of that recently are like the International Space Year, Mission to Planet Earth Day project that we're planning for 1992. Obviously we focus a lot on things that we already are doing and how we can improve them, like the magazine. We have the taking on of the magazine actually came out of one of those things, saying, well, it's really one of our goals to publish our own internal magazine that can give the members information about what the society itself is doing and what is happening in the space program. I think that is one of the things we get from the conference. We come here, we hear members' ideas. Charlie has solicited members' ideas in his column. I have as well in mine. We are constantly talking to people on the phone, and I think in the presentation of the afternoon board meeting this year, we heard a number of projects like that. That's where most of these things come from. So you as the members have, I believe, several channels to take those ideas to us. One of the things, of course, that we usually like to hear along with a project is how it's going to be funded. The annual budget process is something that really outlines specifically the projects we're going to do. We had a member 2 years ago who gave us a sum of money and said, I'd like to see us contest to really look into space habitat design. We ran a space habitat design contest and gave away 2 awards for $2,001 each at last year's conference. That was a very worthwhile project, provided outreach, some of the things Jeff Liz has talked about, to the architecture community. We're very open to ideas like that, but again, from my perspective, it's something we normally need funding for to take on a major project like that. A reordering of funds is more done at the board level, and I think, as I mentioned, there's a number of channels for that activity too. This, I might add, being one of them. Did you have additional comments, Chuck?
I guess just to reiterate what Lori has said, we haven't invited through any number of channels the expression of ideas, projects, and long-term and short-term. There are a number of channels. Let me just reiterate one more, which is the ad hoc chapters committee that the executive of it, even if he set up, Larry Ahern's chair. They're asking everyone in the chapters community explicitly to bring to them their opinions, their suggestions, their ideas regarding overall relationship of the chapters with the national with the chapters, the entire organization as an integrated entity, and within that, specific projects that can be and should be done. That is one important current, very active mechanism and vehicle for just that kind of input. As Lori mentions, projects don't get done, most projects don't get done unless there is the committed resource there with it to get it done. That is so vitally important. We are so rich as a community of members in this society, so rich in ideas, needs, we see it very clearly. What we are really poor in is, at the same time, finding the resources to go do it. That's where we have to, as it turns out, work the hardest, I think, to get the final result, to come out of the directions that we all know we need to go in. The directions as implemented, focused on projects, the projects need resources. So, in fact, resource generation is an important part of project execution. And bear in mind that not every project can be nor should be done by the national. So one way that we need to, as an internal process, is look individually at what not only what a project is, but where it's best performed. And of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be either or. It also can be both. So there's lots of opportunities out there conceptually. Coming to them, there are also plenty of vehicles, I think, to get the ideas into the system, into the process. Chapters can chew on them themselves very easily, and then turn them out into the ad hoc chapters committee, to either Lori or myself, to other board members. You've got regional board members. Very soon, through Larry Ahern's activities and my commitment to him to see that these are carried out, you're going to have local chapter region coordinators for his use in funneling information up through the chapter's coordinator. So all of those vehicles, all those mechanisms are there for communication and for processing of the ideas.
Sure.
I have 4 items. I can either break them up or put them all together, but if I put them together, they'll take more than a couple minutes.
If you keep it in 3 minutes, so we can get other people's.
Maybe I'll split them apart. I have two simple proposals. One is an idea I advanced at the first Space Development Conference in Los Angeles 9 years ago, and the people were interested, but nothing further came of it. That is a campaign to make July 20 a flag holiday. And it is already part of National Space Week, but I would like to see a resolution, a congressional resolution, that July 20 of each year becomes a flag holiday, much like June 14th. I think the date is significant enough that it warrants a national holiday, but there's a lot of controversy about adding any more to the ones we already have. That was the issue of adding holidays was an issue in the Martin Luther King Day, and it would be here too. At least let's get a flag holiday. When you're writing your congressman about the Traxler bill, how about putting in a word for the flag holiday idea? My second idea is another tribute to Robert Heinlein. This one is already extant in the science fiction fandom community, of which I have been a member. You can't see it from here, but I am wearing a little lapel pin. It's a red heart with brass letters SF on it. This was given to any member of the science fiction community who donated blood after Robert Heinlein, whose life was saved by blood donations 13 years before he died, started a campaign to get fans to give blood. I think we should have the same thing here at the National Space Society. We should have that people, when they donate blood, should donate it in the blood bank in the name of the National Space Society. It might be necessary for the directorship of the National Space Society to register the society as a blood bank account. And that would probably mean that whoever's doing the registration would have to bleed a pint themselves. But it would be a very fitting tribute to a very key founding member of our society. And I'm going to leave the other two items for somebody else.
Oh, sure. Let me just say, first of all, I think that the society can certainly get behind a 20 July Flag Day national holiday. I don't have any problem with that at all. And so I'll be very willing to sponsor a motion in that regard. In fact, I'll sponsor it in your name. It's your idea. We can put our name behind it. We do know that there is a lot of resistance to adding another major holiday to the National Register, but hell, if we don't believe in that holiday, what the hell do we believe in, right? So we're more than happy to do that.
Yes.
Just an idea that's come to mind from being here this weekend. Heard a lot of really fascinating, interesting ideas on how to get into space, habitat design and whatnot. I wonder if there's any possibility of the head office with the congressional contacts getting some type of government money for study contracts for things that seem to fall outside of the normal path that through military study contracts or through NASA. I don't know if it's realistic or not, but I've heard a lot of ideas here this weekend that, and plus there's my own, and they're hard getting funding for them. They're hard getting them heard because they're a little bit outside of the mainstream line of business, being DOD or NASA. I don't know if there's any way that the NSS could get some kind of government money as we're putting out for study contracts.
I have actually a quick comment.
Answer that just briefly. We have in the past done that under some specialized circumstances. For example, when the administration wanted to create the Young Astronauts program, they came to us and we got a $45,000 contract out of them. Not many people know that I'm the guy that started the committee that wound up being the Young Astronauts program. And we used that money for conferences and bringing people in and to give it a start. But NASA is a tough agency to get money out of if you just go to them with a project or with a concept. They have to follow a very complicated set of regulations on procurement and so forth. And even when they have something that's worthy, and Laurie can tell you about this, it can lead to a lot of complications of having to file a proposal, and it goes through other organizations that might also file, and then they have to be evaluated. It's a very tough process.
To make a comment, I'd like to comment. Because, I worked in the Small Business Innovative Research Program, and that's where technical proposals can come in, and often there are areas of looking for very new ideas, and very far out concepts. It might be a point, though, that not that much money goes into that program. Maybe we should push from the point of view of NSS to expand that program.
I have a comment in building for folks. In fact, the comment I have, I see the person from Oregon L5 raising their hand. You might want to expand on this, but Oregon L5 actually got a NASA contract. So,
Okay, yeah, I'd like to speak to that real quick.
can we give Billing for a second? He's been waving his hand for a while.
For those of you who are not aware of it, there is a source book available, not through any organization that you've ever involved with properly. It's put out by a gentleman named Matthew Lesko. It's called InfoPower. He also runs an organization called Information USA. What this book consists of is about 1,000 pages of government contacts, government grants available, and free information and stuff that you can get simply by asking for it. I turned through about 10 pages of it because a friend of mine was looking for government programs for funding or grants or loans for medical students. And in 10 pages, I found close to $500 million of loan money available for medical students. 2,000 reports, 8,000 reports prepared for the Congress on every conceivable topic you can think of that you can get for the asking, if you have the number. This is could probably be the most useful source book that any activist in any field, including space, can get. And you can get it for $30. It's about the thickness of the Manhattan white pages.
Do you have the information on how to get that?
You can, I believe the phone number is 1-800-32-LESKO. Anyone who wants to know can have my number and call me up because I have more of the information.
And Bill's going to be around later on today. He's real difficult to recognize. So. Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, we just went ahead and did it, basically, at Oregon L5, and we were, I guess, audacious enough that we managed to get something out of it through the Office of Exploration's Innovation Outreach Program. And basically what we did, we varied them. We put in 9 proposals out of a total received of, I think, around 150 or 200 proposals. That was a significant percentage. We were fortunate that the one that they chose to fund was actually the one with the longest term implications on our part, and we have received some feedback that they are very interested in continuing to look at what we have to say. The other thing I'd like to point out about this particular program is it is the only one that is really geared to even allow award to nonprofits. In the small business one, for example, as I understand, has to be a for-profit organization that this goes to. The program was scrapped for this year. It is being revamped and put up for next year, is my understanding. I think the National Space Society should really look into this and really push to have it not only reinstated but expanded.
I've been sort of a champion of the cause of the slideshow for many years. In fact, the first Space Development Conference back here in 82, I guess, I got up before the board to talk about the slides. The reason I think slide is so important is it's a very simple technology, although the slide projectors do break down now and then. But we need to have, I'm trying to do certain things that I can do in Austin. The slides by the chair out. But I think that the headquarters are totally play a role because of their location in Washington, because they have contacts in Washington that I don't have.
because they have the name of the society behind them to get people, big companies' attentions. One of the ideas I've had would be that you know, representing the National Space Society, you can get the attention of like aviation, space technology, some of the big companies like Lockheed and so forth. They have all kinds of marvelous paintings and so forth that could be possibly made available to us in the form of slides that would fill in some of these critical scenes that we need to bring our message across to the public. And it would be to their benefit that those slides be made available to our chapters for public education. And it's a problem of the work needed to be done to make those contacts, to get the master slides, to get them into the catalog so they're available for reproduction, I presume at cost, to our chapters. And I would be very, very interested in seeing that project, especially for slides dealing with not current or historical projects like Apollo and the space station, but future like power satellites, moon mining, asteroid mining, and so forth.
Thanks, John. Lori, your comment?
Oasis already has such a slide presentation.
Can you transfer it to the national so they can sell it basically at cost to the rest of the country?
We can talk, I can talk to Larry Ahern about it, or anybody else can, but I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I have a couple comments. First about the contracts through NASA regarding Cheryl's contract. We have, one of the things that they have in their plans to do when this contract is finished in a few months is to write it up as a case study for other chapters and to help, National will distribute that so that other chapters can learn from their experience. It hasn't been easy at all. It's the first case trying to work with the Contracts and Grants Office of NASA. Has not been easy. They gave 20 grants, of which the L5 Oregon chapter is really the only one doing new research that is a small nonprofit. The others were large universities who could just do these projects in their everyday course of action. The other one was the ISU project, work that had already been done and paid for, and they were just going to turn in the results. So this is really sort of a flagship project, I think, for NSS, and we're very proud of it. In addition, we're working now with NASA to develop an outreach program. We've put forward a formal proposal. We're going through that whole contract and grants office now. I've got my little blue book of regulations to read from NASA on the plane on the way back. And we're now going to be putting in a joint proposal with the Planetary Society to do some of this outreach, hopefully for the Space Exploration Initiative. On the slide specifically, Charlie Walker's done an awful lot in this area. He's gotten from his corporation backers, McDonnell Douglas, slides. They are mainly on the space station, but we consider that a future project. And we would love to have a lot of the additional slides that are available. I noticed Ben's hand was up. They have a lot that they've done in Minnesota. Here we heard from Oasis. I think it's more a question of pulling together what we already have. As you said, Alpha Society has some of these things. We don't have them at headquarters. If we did, we'd put them on our list of stuff we mail out. So probably what we ought to do is put something in chapter action and get it out there so that people can at least start sending them in, because we can reproduce them. We've recently developed the slideshow of the briefing books, and we have the space station slideshow, but that is a valuable idea.
Sorry, Phil, for Scott, the 800 number for this book.
I knew it was 1-800 something to LES, so I ran to the payphone, it's the 800 number, and I just started going numbers. It's 1-800-325-3756 or 1-800-22-LESKO. No, we didn't even have to go to the board of directors to get that.
By the way, anytime you need, I don't know if everybody knows this, anytime you know that an organization has an 800 number, you don't know what it is, you can actually call information.
Right.
1-800-555-1212. Yes, and tell us how that first. And Dale.
Just briefly on the slides, Eagle Engineering has a graphics department. If you give them a call, they'll be very happy to supply you with slides for either purchase or just loan them to you. They're down in Houston.
We have some of those slides, and they're gorgeous slides.
Dale, next gentleman.
I was going to say, several years back, Seattle L5 developed a very, very nice slideshow, which I think was a dual projector one with the sound. If you remember, they showed it at their 1986 conference.
I different.
The key
But I
thing
agree
is,
with
though,
you.
that all of these slideshows should be essentially consolidated with the national. That way, each chapter can buy them, and we can run slideshows forever. And I think slides and pictures are a way of really reaching out to the people. Artwork sells. It really grabs a hold of people.
Yes.
My main point is separate, but I would add to the talk and slide programs that it would be useful, and maybe these exist, if some sort of script or outline of a possible presentation that has been proven out is presented to whoever's going to the local Kiwanis.
I agree, and in fact, I would recommend that if you want to submit one to national for distribution, if we can arrange that, I think one of the requirements should be that a script has to come along with the slide.
One variation on that too, I think it has to be experimented with, but getting a tape of a professional speaker, of someone who can really project the story. When you have somebody who isn't a professional, it doesn't come across as well. But I don't know if just having the tape will also would be just as bad.
I think it depends. Yes.
I'm curious about anything that's being done on the other side of communications. I'm wondering whether anyone has any projects underway or planned or even dreams for projects in the electronic media, television and radio for that matter, whether anything is being thought about at headquarters or whether any chapters have any projects.
Before I take additional comments, does anyone have any replies to this one?
Yes. And that is, we could even get some actor who is interested in the space program, such as Patrick Stewart, to donate a presentation.
Actually, I think that angle is being worked, but I think, Charlie, did you have something to say about that?
Well, not specifically. That angle is being worked, you're right.
And in fact, CSDC is also doing some work on that. Some more contacts. Yeah, Bill.
A lot of the media things that you're looking for, some of them anyway, are available from the Space Studies Institute, including a presentation called Harvesting New Harvest on the High Frontier, which Rick Tomlinson put together. It's an extremely professional presentation, which is available as a slide and cassette combination or on videotape, that has met with phenomenal success in the past 2 years, everywhere it's been shown. And that's available, I believe, for rental or purchase from the Space Studies Institute, for instance.
So a couple of minutes back here. Yes.
I'm from the Connecticut chapter, and in reference to the electronic media question, about 4 times every year we produce a program on community access TV where we have the chapter of the National Space Society, a local astronomy chapter, chapter of SEDS, and the organization called Connecticut Space Center come and give a talk on what their organization is going to be doing in the next 4 months, along with a small presentation on just anything from planetary probes with shuttle missions to orbital mechanics, things like that. And it goes for about half an hour, and it's called What's Up in Space. And that's one of the things we do.
In fact, I would urge anybody who is in the cable TV area to look into that, because a lot of times the public access channels are trying for people to do things. And in today's age, where everybody has remote controls and is constantly flipping through channels, there's a good chance that somebody will stop on something interesting. So, yes.
Just 2 things. With respect to the slideshows, I would recommend if anyone has a particular topic they're interested in, and when you're out talking before the public, it's pretty easy to turn that into a slide program. And I submitted an article a few months back in Chapter Action, and it kind of talks a little bit about that, so I won't say any more at this point. Another thing that's a possibility is to find out who is using the learning facilities at your local cable access station. We were in a situation whereby we found out who was learning. The people who are learning to produce programs, they don't have any programs to produce. And they were very excited to find out that we would be willing to supply them on a month-to-month basis with speakers. We will be starting, I believe, next month if we're lucky. And that gives us a chance to just come in, prepare a hopefully exciting presentation, and hopefully one that will be seen by people, because I know we all tend to kind of fly past those channels. but we don't have to provide any expertise in the media area. They want to do this, but they need people on the other end to be subjects, and they're also very happy to incorporate public service announcements such as those that were produced for NSS, as well as those that were produced by U.S. Space Foundation.
Speaking with all the above things, Minnesota Space Frontiers dabbled in all the above mentioned things from time to time. We do talk to the various civic groups, and we use the McDonnell Douglas slideshow, plus also I grabbed a bunch of NASA photos that I called the NASA Field Center and said, hey, I want a picture of, and they mail it out to me. And I say, I'm with, the Minnesota chapter of the National Space Society, and it comes in the mail in a brown envelope. I got piles of brown envelopes. And a lot of nice photos, and it's all there just for the asking. As far as the cable access, one of our members, Mr. Shefty, pretty much spends all of his spare time and produces a monthly 1-hour show called Earth and Beyond, in which we show tapes from conferences such as this. Last at the Chicago conference, the cable company that he works with said, here are 5 cameras and 100 tapes. Go get programming. And that's what we've been showing. And he's been doing editing on that. The cable company, for the most part, said, well, we don't want to leave the city limits, but just have it back on Tuesday, and we don't care, and don't tell us where the stuff went. Every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Central, the PBS satellite feeds a half-hour NASA Lewis-produced film on some NASA film from their libraries. And I, through my cable company, say, hey, could you guys tape this off your satellite system? I get the tape. I put a Minnesota Space Frontier Presents 30-second header at the front end, and maybe run a U.S. Space Foundation or one of Charlie Walker's NSS PSAs at the front end, gets our name out, and then the remaining 28 minutes is produced by somebody else. I don't have to produce it. And it looks very nice. We shove that in on a weekly basis into the cable system. It gets our name on the cable channel on a weekly basis. We have at 9 o'clock Friday morning. It's not a great slot, but set your VCRs, and we got the time slot for that. So it's something that can do, and one person can do. It's not that hard to do.
I think I really encourage people to look into that if you have cable in your local area, because it's increasingly sort of the underground press of the 90s.
Also, NASA, for every non-military mission, turns on a satellite and get your cable company to a NASA Select TV. You can watch over Mission Control's shoulders, see what they see, the same instant that they see it. And it's great.
Oh, you have something? Oh, no, Richard.
Yeah. Matt Kaplan here with Dandelion Modest. It's pretty simple. This is a Final Frontier. If he could just quickly talk about his experiences producing a public access show.
Okay, we tried really to be very ambitious, and we were better able to do that than a lot of typical public access users because we can make it part of the work. I run a department called University Television in Cal State Long Beach, not too far from here. And because we were doing a space conference on campus a year ago, I convinced my boss, the dean, gee, wouldn't it be great to have a TV show that would be a forum for promoting the space conference? But that took up all of 30 seconds, and the rest of the half hour was some generally decent stuff about what was going on in the area and some interesting people that we talked to. Unfortunately, we only had approval to do that for 3 shows. We shot material before and did another sort of half a show, which has been running upstairs from the Caltech benefit that took place last August. It's difficult to get away from talking heads, the television term for what most of public access is. Your use of the NASA Select programming and the other feeds by satellite from NASA, we do much the same thing at the university. During the flyby last summer, we just stayed on continuously. We preempted all of our other programming on the university's dedicated channel. But not everybody has a satellite dish to pick that stuff up. You can ask your cable company, as you said, to try and cherry pick, that's the term for it, those programs off the air. It's generally, if the facilities are there, you can put together a show. And I think it's a matter of trying to make it more visual, because that's what makes the medium more effective. That's what makes it work. There are a number of organizations, Sierra Club is one of them, that now have a pool of tapes sort of to draw on at their headquarters. And you can do what we call bicycling of tapes from system to system. It's obviously, if the program is of particularly strong local interest, it may not work that well in another cable franchise, especially one across the country. But if you have programs that would be effective, it's very much like the sharing of these slide programs, which can be very useful. And then there are the programs produced, the one special in particular, produced by headquarters, which most cable systems will allow you to run. You don't have to produce the programming yourself. Generally, the requirement is only that you be a resident of that franchise area, or even just active in an organization in that area. And that's something that, fortunately, such groups as the KKK have taken advantage of, running programming produced from elsewhere around the country. Certainly, our motives are a hell of a lot better than theirs.
Bill, and then we've got about 5 or 6 minutes left. Give me time to break down the rooms.
This is a related topic to collecting and producing your own media, and that's getting on other programs, existing programs, when they are addressing a space issue. Being from the New York City chapter, we have a number of people in the field. One of the people, in fact, the editor of our newsletter, is one of the writers for the CBS Morning News. And I asked him, how do news media organizations decide who the experts are? And he said, because somebody tells them they're an expert. And the best way to do it, he said, is to get in their Rolodex. Have your chapter or commit some funding to get some Rolodex cards printed up with the title Space and your chapter logo and the name of the contact person, and send it out to every media source in your area. When a space issue comes up, they'll flip through the Rolodex for space, and there you are. And you'll probably get some calls.
Dale and then Tom.
Yeah. First I would say something just to add on to what Bill said. When the Challenger blew up, the Channel 4 television in Pittsburgh called us first. And we were the local experts for them. Additionally, I just thought I'd list a few other chapters that I'm aware of that have worked with public access. I know Erie L5 produced a show some years ago, which was mainly Talking Heads. Tucson L5, I think, was doing a regular show. I don't know if there's anybody here from Tucson. And then also, I believe Baltimore L5 was doing a lot of work with videotape and such. So over the years, there's been quite a bit of work in public access.
Two more items. Thomas Block again. And the first item was a proposal I made to Oasis quite some time back, and they suggested I look into it further. The results I got at that time were not encouraging. This was the idea of inviting cosmonauts to attend the conference. What I learned, mostly through Bill Weirin, was that it would cost about $5,500. We would have to fund the travel and lodging expenses for the two cosmonauts. They always come in a group, at least two. And they would not underwrite it. The Soviets would not underwrite these costs because there are no business opportunities over here for Roscosmos. Now we have two ways we could do this in the future. I hope the idea remains alive. One is we can pay the $5,500, something like on the order of $10 per membership. Or two, and this is harder, but it might be worthwhile in the long run, we can lobby the Congress, again, on the idea of opening up the interchange of trade, and by trade I mean including trading launches between the United States and the Soviet Union. And in that way, they would find a financial incentive. Now, back to the first point I should have said, there is also the possibility that we could get a co-sponsor in whatever area we are having a conference, because the cosmonauts would normally stay over here about a week. The other item, I considered what Charles Walker said last night about the Traxler bill. And while I very much support a Mars mission, I am not so confident that we are doing the right thing in the way that President Bush is proposing the Mars mission. It reminds me of Apollo, and much as I was proud to not only be a citizen of the country that performed Project Apollo, but also proud to be one of the people who charged on account number 279. That is the Project Apollo accounting number. But I learned later that we made quite a few sacrifices in our space program in order to take this very dramatic trip to the moon. That there had been plans for an operational precursor to the space shuttle. The dinosaur was actually an operational precursor to the space shuttle, and Charles Yeager writes about this in his book. There were plans for a permanent manned station by the late 60s or the early 70s. By now, if we had followed this alternate path, we might be going back to the moon to stay. When we go to Mars, I want it to be part of a comprehensive space program. I want us to go, not to give up going to the moon to stay. I want it to be that we go to the moon to stay and we go to Mars to stay. There have been alternate proposals. There was the Stanford Research Institute proposed such a plan that was far cheaper, very optimistic, depending on off-the-shelf technologies. Now I spoke to somebody named Bob Zubrin, who is proposing a similar thing. His company, Mark Murrieta, is proposing a similar project, not quite as optimistic. They're thinking in terms of 50 to 100 billion, but they are thinking of a comprehensive, long-range, permanent space program. We should not let ourselves be shut down by the representative attractors of this country. But at the same time, we should be taking a hard look at how we go back to space and make sure that when we do go back to space, we go back there to stay.
Lloyd?
Yes.
If I might just take 30 seconds. Thomas's idea of cosmonauts as speakers and presenters, absolutely right on. Got to do it. And the way you can do it, the chapters are looking for fundraisers. People pay to see cosmonauts. Get smart. Get out there. Get the few people that you need together to find a place. Pay your people out front to collect. Get the advertisements out there. You can get them in the papers. You can get them on radio. People will pay. You can pay for them to come over. You can make some extra money along the way.
Okay, we're running out of time here. We got this gentleman and this gentleman, and then Terry.
I'll be real quick. I heard some great things said here today, but I haven't seen much of this stuff in chapter action. Could everybody please write in with all these great ideas in chapter action so that all those people who aren't here can learn about these things so they don't have to stumble through the dark and figure this out on their own.
And more than that, ask your presidents of your chapters to pass chapter action on to you, the members of the chapter. It's not always passed on. Let's communicate.
Just a historical note. 2 years ago, the Minnesota Ascends chapter called Glob Cosmos, and Glob Cosmos sent over for free Mr. Ivan Chenkov, a cosmonaut. And there was the cost to the SEDS group who put on the space conference was Mr. Ivan Chekhov's hotel room, period. All it cost him. And they were perfectly willing to let the guy stay in the owner's home. So I don't know what it is today, but 2 years ago, Glob Cosmos paid for the plane ticket, and I gave him some spending money and stuff. It does not have to cost $5,000, at least not always.
In regards to the Soviet cosmonauts, I knew Tom was trying to put this project together last year, but I didn't know it was as difficult as it was. Coming up in July of this year, we are having a reunion of all 5 of the participants of the Apollo-Soyuz test project here in Los Angeles. They will all be here. And on July 18th, they're going to be at the California Museum of Science and Industry. The specialized, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a closed party or such, closed get-together,
but NIAA is the one that's putting it on, and those of us in the Los Angeles section are the ones that are sponsoring it. Now, I don't know how they did it, even though I am a member of both Space Systems Technical Committee and Programs Committee, as well as the Public Policy Committee, but because we're having a meeting coming up on Wednesday night, day after tomorrow, I can probably check on that and find out how they did that, and I'll probably get back with you on that, Tom.
Great. All right, thanks a lot, folks. We're going to have to restart the room. Close. Appreciate the time.